What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It is time to get you caught up on the E36 and the things we've done. Nothing is complete, so that's why I'm not like sweating it a bunch. Basically, the things that we've done is we finished putting the angle mod kit on the E36. It's not complete yet, so that's why I'm not really like worried that you didn't see it yet. Basically, once we got the tie rods in, we had issues where they were basically not allowing us to tow in enough. They still had a bunch of tow out. So we had to cut I cut about a 1/4 inch off of the tie rod on this side. And I haven't checked yet to see if that was enough. But we also did a camber mod to get some camber out of this thing. And we also put the spacer on the front. But we're gonna go over that more because these wheels aren't staying on here. I'm actually supposed to trade them for some stock 17 5-spokes on Sunday. So I like these wheels and everything, but they're way too big for this car, and I just don't really like them that much because of the front wheels, and I don't care enough about these wheels to buy matching rears for the other BMW, the E92, my daily driver. And they definitely aren't staying on this car, so there's no reason for me to keep them. And that one of them is bent a little bit. They're not in the best shape. The front tires make a lot of noise, so we're just gonna trade them straight up for stock BMW 17s with good tires on them. And hopefully the tires aren't too big, so we can at least throw them on this thing and drive it like that. Plus, we really need to raise the car. I don't want to, but we need to raise it and probably get more of a little bit of a pokey fitment in the front to kind of, it looks good fender to lip, but it's not gonna be able to be like that as a drift car. So maybe we can mess with stuff when we want to drive it and make it look cool. And then the other thing is, we got our JP fiberglass over fenders in and on the car. Right now they are just self-tapered on because we had to wait for hardware for our riv nuts, but we do have that now. We did cut the arch out and fold that stuff up. We still have to weld all of that. That's not complete. These aren't complete either. They still have to be trimmed a little bit, like where the taillight is, but they look great. They look sick. The fitment's pretty good with these wheels, but once we put a set of stock wheels on it, we're gonna have a pretty decent sized spacer on it to kind of make it look okay for now. So but in today's video we are going to start tackling body work. This thing needs a fair amount of body work. The biggest thing is the roof. As you all know, all the rivet holes, these need to be covered. You can see that the roof has like a dent pretty much in every section, probably from the middle being pinched. So we're gonna have to Bondo pretty much over all that stuff and get it nice and evened out. And then we have to fix this rust back here, which I'm hoping is as simple as grinding it down, laying a coat of Bondo over it, and getting it all smooth, or body filler. So there's that. And then we have to cut a section of the floors out, which I don't think will even be in this video. But if we get to that, we get to that. Obviously the car needs other things, like it needs a rear bumper, a hood, and a front bumper as well. But we're pecking away. I do plan to paint the car, but we're not gonna get into all that right now. We're gonna jump right in, start grinding this rust down back here, and see what it makes of it. Okay, so unfortunately there is some holes. So right now what I'm thinking is we're gonna have to cut probably from here to here out and either make a new piece or find a shell somewhere. That's what I'm thinking right now. That might change. For right now we need to get the rear bumper off the car so we can kind of see what we're working with underneath, make sure there's no more rot underneath, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I have some great news for me, maybe not so much for you, but if you have the same problem, it might be great news for you too. Great news for you too. So it turns out they sell a fiberglass panel that comes from here, and it goes all the way over, and it goes to there, and it's basically to make it to where you don't see this as much. And obviously, like if the car's ever been wrecked into from the rear and it bends this in, you can use that to kind of hide it. So the good news is we don't even have to cut any of this out. What we'll do is we'll use a rust neutralizer under here, and we'll rust neutralize it and primer everything, and we might cut this out and like maybe weld a section in and here as well, just because maybe for structure. But I'm gonna order that panel. It looks like it's gonna take quite a while to get here, so that kind of sucks. I think it said April 20th, which I was hoping to have the car painted by then, which we might just paint the car and we can always paint that separate. It's not like this is like some big showcase piece on the car that is gonna be immediately noticeable, so that's great news. So basically now we're not really gonna do much with that for the time being, but we can now move on to the other issue, which is the roof. So basically we're gonna take our drill, we're gonna drill the rest of these rivets like completely through, and then we're gonna start scuffing the roof down basically, and just getting everything dialed in, block it down, and pretty much we'll Bondo whatever, and yeah, we'll go from there. So we'll get these drilled out and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got all these kind of filed down. The DA that I have for some reason isn't working, so we're either gonna have to go buy one or borrow one. But in the meantime, I think we're gonna start drilling our holes for all of our rev nuts on the over fenders. And then we also went ahead and started grinding down. This is a metal like trim, and it was all rusty. I'll show you the other side. You can see it's kind of like pitted and rusty. So I wanted to take care of that before we did any other body work, just because I don't know, we're probably gonna have to paint this before we paint the car, because I don't want to get overspray on a freshly painted car. So we'll probably paint this first, and then when we paint the car, we can obviously you know, tape it off or whatever. So I think now we're gonna move to over fenders. We got to grind down metal and stuff there as well, so we're gonna start that. Okay, so as you saw, we got the over fender on and attached the proper way. Obviously this is still going to come back off, so we can primer and do stuff with the cutting of the fenders or the quarters. And obviously when we paint it, we're going to paint underneath of it too. The nice thing is this will probably be my test panel when I first spray the car, because it won't matter, it'll be covered, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of it for tonight, but it'll be a couple seconds for you guys. We're probably gonna start on these and start getting everything kind of sanded down, and then that way we can start laying Bondo. So okay, so basically we had some camera difficulties, and long story short, this is what the car looks like. Basically the last thing you guys saw me do was sanding the trunk down. We actually welded these holes closed. We still have to grind down some of it and get them nice, but we actually bought a tool for that finally. We got all the welds on the sunroof except for one, because we got to figure out how to ground it. We were grounding it here with this screw for all the other ones, so we're on the last one. We can't keep the screw there obviously, so we got to figure out how to ground the welder to weld that hole closed still. But the rest of them are done. We've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the holes ground down. This one we're gonna have to put a small tack because there's still a little hole there. And then we got the glass out, the doors out, we got all the trim around the glass out. As you can tell, we beat up the windshield pretty bad, but it was already cracked and I am going to get it replaced. We got the rear glass seals out. We're basically doing this so when I paint it, you don't have that like line, and I don't have to worry about taping the seals back, so we can basically just tape off the windshield and just paint it. Or honestly, we don't have to tape off this windshield because it's getting replaced, but you get the idea. We'll have to scuff down inside here so that way we don't have any lines. Got the seats out of the car to address the rust holes. Now, most people or people that care probably wouldn't show you guys this. I kind of knew this when I got this car. I knew that it had rusty floors on the driver's side. I'm now figuring out that it was because water was leaking into this car some way, somehow. I'm assuming it was the sunroof. Could have been something else. I don't know if it was from sitting or if it was from just over the course of the years it's gotten wet. But if you remember, there was still carpet. There was like a section of carpet still up here. It was soaking wet. And basically what happened is the car rusted the floors out from the inside. Usually when you get rotted floors, they'll usually rust from the bottom up. But these BMWs come with really good undercoating, so they typically don't rot out that I know of, unless it's from the inside. So I kind of knew that. I only thought there was a small hole here and a small hole here. Turns out these whole sections were rotted out. And if I'm being honest with you, well, first I tried to look up and see if you can get floor pans for this car. Apparently you can't. I don't know why I keep getting unlucky with all these vehicles where you can't buy floor pans anymore, but apparently you can't. I could be wrong, but apparently you can. So I am not going to go through the effort to cut and weld panels into this car. It is a drift car. I do not plan on running this chassis forever. This is really just a temporary deal. Unless I end up falling in love with it, then that's a whole different story. But eventually I would like to swap everything over to a four-door. That could be a year from now, it could be 2 years from now, it could be 3 years from now. I don't know when, but at some point I would like to swap to a four-door just because I like the four doors better. They look better to me. And that's basically the gist of it. Only reason I have this car is because I got a great deal on it, and that's the end of the story there. So basically we took sheet metal that is the same thickness as a floor pan. We screwed it in. Right now they're just self-tapped in. We're going to rivet everything, we're going to seam seal it, and we're going to sound deaden it, so you're not even going to be able to tell. It's going to be just as sturdy. It just will be, I will spend double the time less just doing it this way. So that's the way we're going to go through it. I don't give a shit if you think it's a half-ass way to do it, if you think it's a hack job, if you think this and that. It's going to be sturdy, it's going to be fine, it's going to be seam sealed, and I promise you, you won't even be able to tell I did it this way. I just don't. It's a drift car. I don't care. it is getting painted and stuff, but I just don't care enough to spend the time. And it's something we could always address in the future too if we wanted to. So if I find a clean shell, then we would just swap everything over. I wouldn't cut the floors out of it. But so we did that. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. I don't care that much. If you care that much, I'm sorry. On to the next thing. So basically both sides we got all of that done on. So the doors and everything are off on this side, and at this point we just got to grind welds down and spend money basically. So I'll show you the tool that we got. So we picked this bad boy up, which this thing is a lifesaver. I wish I would have bought one sooner, but I spent I think 20 bucks on this thing, and it does an amazing job. Basically it grinds the welds down and it makes it to where you're not technically putting crazy indentations into the steel. You can kind of flatten it out. You can use the tip to get the welds down, and once you start to get closer down the middle, you can kind of flatten out and, you know, makes things a little easier. I will say that this thing kind of like locks up sometimes randomly. It could be user error, it could be a tool error, not sure. But yeah, got that. So that thing has been kicking some ass. And yeah, so that's pretty much me catching you guys up on it. Okay guys, so we are about to start pulling the dash now. We actually got all the floors patched up and seam sealed. I just have to paint the floors, but we're gonna wait until we get the dash out so we're not stepping all over wet paint. And then we also got to take care of some stuff under the car, seam seal that, you know, all that fun stuff. But we're gonna start pulling this dash out now. Doesn't look like it'll be too crazy hard, but there's only one way to find out. Guys, so as you saw, we got the dash completely out of the car. Got it sitting over here. I will briefly show you where all the screws are at. So screw here, you have to pop these covers off. This is up by the windshield. There's a screw there, and a screw there. And you have all these screw holes. There's one on here, a little latch piece. Screw there, two screws there. Then you have four screws that hold this on. There's one inside the vent, one below on each side, and one inside the vent there. Then there's a 10mm that goes up through the dash that holds this on. And then you have a 12mm that holds this on over here. And then a Phillips bit that holds that on. And then there's some like other things that you got to pop off, like these got to pop off, which there's just a Phillips bit right there that comes out, and then you just kind of pop these all out and they just fall out. Got to pull the steering wheel off, and that's pretty much it that I can think of. Not too bad. There's really not a lot of videos that go over how to do this. There is and there isn't. They don't really show much, but yeah, so it's out. Almost all the interior is inside the hard body, which is kind of funny, as you can see. And yeah, so as you can tell, we got the floors done as well. They're all painted up, all good to go. I actually just caught the car on fire and freaked out for a second. I was trying to bake the paint in with a torch, which is a stupid idea because I didn't even let the paint cure that long. And literally the torch got maybe 10 inches away from the floor and the whole car just went and just bursted into flames, and there was just fire everywhere, and I'm like freaking out. So I started blowing on it, you know, the natural instinct. That didn't put it out, obviously. So I run over there to get a water, and I have fire extinguishers and stuff, but that was the last case scenario because fire extinguishers make a mess. So I leave, come back over, and by the time I get back over here, it's out. It basically just burnt all the paint off. So yeah, stupid, just don't do that. That was very dumb. Anyhow, looks good though. It's pretty much all tidied up in here. From this point forward, my flock kit to flock the dash, because we are going to flock the dash. And for those that don't know, flocking is basically where you like roll an adhesive on the dash, and then you like powder this like suede stuff on, and then it dries, and then it's basically just like this. You can see the inside of the glove box. It's like a soft suede, and basically it just makes the whole dashboard like a matte black suede, which you could do different colors, but I'm doing black. I think Trey's dash is over here. I'll show you on. Yeah, so this is flocking, as you can see. His is a little dirty, but that's basically what we're doing. And yeah, I think that's really going to be it for this video. In the next video, it'll basically be grinding all these welds down, probably start laying Bondo. We'll probably start trying body work back here, so that way, because the trunk I don't care about too much. If it doesn't look good, we'll just get a new trunk. So we'll basically start the body work back here to kind of get acclimated back into body work, because it's been a little bit. Get this all sorted out back here, and then we'll move to the roof, and from that point we'll just have to get our body kit and stuff in. So but with that being said, guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. I hope you guys are as stoked as I am to see this thing painted finally. But I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.